What's up, fight fans? My name is Angelo, and welcome back to Geloman MMA. If you're a fan of the UFC and you watch UFC every single week, every single month, you pay for all their pay-per-views, this channel is for you. On this channel, I break down anything that's related to UFC. I talk about mentality of these fighters. I talk about the business side of the UFC. I talk about predictions and breakdowns, and most importantly, I just speculate on anything. And I just give my opinions and thoughts on anything that's going on in the UFC. So if this sounds like something you would like, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. So today I'm gonna speculate on what I think is going on with Nate Diaz. I ain't no expert on this, but I just would like to give my thoughts and opinions to other fight fans out there. So Nate Diaz is on his last fight under contract with the UFC, and he's been wanting to fight. He's actually been wanting to leave the UFC to fight somewhere else because he is frustrated with what's going on with the UFC, and rightfully so. So the way the UFC works is when they sign fighters and they give them these contracts, they're locking them in, so they can't go to these other organizations, which is smart because UFC is a business. They are ruthless. They are cutthroat. So if they have a superstar, they're gonna sign that superstar, and they're gonna try not to let them go anywhere else, because everything else to them is a competitor, and they don't want any of their superstars to fight for another organization because it's just gonna give that other organization leverage. Nate Diaz has leverage because he is a superstar, and he could say he's been wanting to fight Jake Paul. That fight can happen, and the way it can happen is if Nate Diaz just fights out his last contract, if he fights out his last fight with his contract, or if he just doesn't fight anybody because the contract could expire. If I think that's how it works. I'm not sure how that works, but he could just wait out and the contract will expire, and then he could become a free agent. He can fight in boxing. But the UFC is not going to let that happen because, first, like I said, Nate Diaz is a superstar. He generates a lot of revenue for the company. Not as much as Conor McGregor, but he's one of the top superstars. And the UFC doesn't want him to go anywhere else. So what they're going to try to do is try to renegotiate his contract, get him signed again, and get him locked up to UFC so Nate Diaz can't go anywhere else. And I think what they're going to do is make the Mcgregor versus Nate Diaz Trilogy fight, because that fight sells. It's going to make a lot of money for everybody. And if they can get that fight done, and then they can renegotiate Nate Diaz's contract, and they'll be set. But I hope Nate Diaz gets the McGregor fight, and I also hope that he gets to fight Jake Paul, because he'll make a ton of money. And Nate Diaz deserves a lot of money. He's been in the fight game for years now. He's taken a lot of damage, and I don't think he should be competing with these high level guys. I think he should focus on making money. No disrespect to Nate Diaz. You can never count out Nate Diaz. That's the thing. You can never count out Nate Diaz. That's why we all love him. He's a warrior. He's a veteran. But at the end of the day, he's getting hit in the head, and that's brain damage. And we hate to see that as fight fans. I want to see him get paid. I want to see him get paid with UFC. I want to see him fight Jake Paul and make a lot of money. And I don't know if the UFC is willing to do that because, well, I don't know if the UFC could make that fight. I mean, they did it before with McGregor and Mayweather, but that's a whole different story. And they could do it they might do it with Nate Diaz. It's kind of hard if it makes sense. If it's gonna make a ton of money, they will do it. But if they think it's not gonna make that much money, they won't do it. It's gonna have to make sense for the UFC. It's gonna have to make business sense actually for it to happen. But that's what I would like to happen. I want to see a Trilogy fight, and I want to see Nate Diaz get paid. So that's pretty much me speculating about that situation. On this channel, I just speculate about things. It may not be right, it may not be perfect, but I enjoy talking UFC. I can talk UFC all day long, and I like sharing it with other people who love UFC just as much as I do. So that's my thoughts and opinion on Nate Diaz. I'll see you guys on the next video. But before I go, like, subscribe, and comment so you won't miss out on any of my content I have coming up.